Malaysia versus 30 Asian countries. You're about to see comparisons that will completely change how you view this nation. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly where Malaysia stands on affordability, quality of life, safety, and opportunities compared to every major country from Japan to Jordan. Before we start, I need your help with something. There's this narrative going around that Malaysian content doesn't get the recognition it deserves on the global stage. People keep saying we're just average, nothing special. But I believe when you see these real numbers, when you compare Malaysia side by side with 30 other nations, you'll realize we've been sleeping on something incredible. If you think Malaysia deserves more credit than it gets, hit that subscribe button right now. Let's show the world what we already know. Assalamu alaikum, and let's dive into these comparisons. Starting with cost of living, because this is where things get really interesting. A meal at an inexpensive restaurant in Malaysia costs you around 12 ringgit. In Singapore, that same meal is 32 ringgit. In Japan, it's 28 ringgit. South Korea will charge you 25 ringgit. Even Thailand, which everyone thinks is the budget paradise of Asia, charges you 15 ringgit for a basic meal. You're saving money on literally every single meal compared to most developed Asian nations. But let's talk about groceries because eating out is just one piece of the puzzle. A liter of milk in Malaysia costs about 8 ringgit 50 sen. In Singapore, you're paying 12 ringgit. In Hong Kong, it's 15 ringgit. In Israel, it jumps to 17 ringgit. A dozen eggs in Malaysia costs you 6 ringgit. In Japan, that's 11 ringgit. In South Korea, it's 10 ringgit. Even in China, you're paying 8 ringgit for the same dozen eggs. Your weekly grocery run in Malaysia could cost you 30 to 40% less than what people in Singapore, Hong Kong, or Tokyo are paying. Now let's look at transportation, and this is where Malaysia really starts to separate itself. A monthly public transport pass in Malaysia costs you approximately 100 ringgit in Kuala Lumpur. In Singapore, that same monthly pass costs 140 ringgit. In Tokyo, you're looking at 250 ringgit. In Hong Kong, it's 180 ringgit. Even in Bangkok, where everyone assumes everything is cheaper, a monthly pass runs you around 120 ringgit. You're moving around your city for significantly less money than almost any other developed Asian city. Housing is the big one, though. This is where people either thrive or barely survive. The average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in the city center of Kuala Lumpur is about 2,200 ringgit per month. Let me show you what that same apartment costs elsewhere. In Singapore, you're paying 8,500 ringgit. In Tokyo, it's 6,000 ringgit. In Hong Kong, you're looking at 12,000 ringgit. In Seoul, it's 4,500 ringgit. Even in Bangkok, which again everyone thinks is so affordable, a comparable apartment runs you 3,200 ringgit. In Dubai, you're paying 6,500 ringgit. In Tel Aviv, it's 9,000 ringgit. But maybe you want to live outside the city center somewhere more peaceful. A one-bedroom apartment outside central Kuala Lumpur costs around 1,500 ringgit monthly. In Singapore, that drops to 6,000 ringgit, which is still 4 times what you're paying in Malaysia. In Tokyo, it's 4,500 ringgit. In Seoul, 3,000 ringgit. In Dubai, 4,800 ringgit. You could literally rent 3 apartments in Malaysia for the price of 1 apartment in most other developed Asian cities. Here's something nobody talks about enough. Internet speed and cost. Malaysia charges you around 120 ringgit monthly for a 60 megabit per second unlimited connection. In Singapore, comparable internet costs 160 ringgit. In Japan, it's 180 ringgit. In South Korea, it's 140 ringgit. But here's the thing, Malaysia's internet infrastructure has improved dramatically. You're getting reliable, fast internet at a lower cost than most of your neighbors. Healthcare costs are absolutely critical, and this is where Malaysia shines in ways most people don't realize. A visit to a private general practitioner in Malaysia costs you around 80 ringgit. In Singapore, that same visit is 240 ringgit. In Japan, it's 160 ringgit. In Hong Kong, it's 220 ringgit. In Dubai, you're paying 300 ringgit just to see a doctor for 15 minutes. A dentist cleaning in Malaysia costs approximately 150 ringgit. In Singapore, that jumps to 400 ringgit. In Tokyo, it's 350 ringgit. In Seoul, it's 280 ringgit. Let me talk about something that affects families directly. Education costs. International school fees in Malaysia range from 20,000 to 70,000 ringgit annually, depending on the institution. In Singapore, you're paying between 50,000 to 120,000 ringgit yearly. In Hong Kong, it's between 60,000 to 140,000 ringgit. In Tokyo, international schools charge between 70,000 to 160,000 ringgit per year. In Dubai, you're looking at 40,000 to 130,000 ringgit. Malaysian international schools offer world-class education at prices that don't require you to take out a second mortgage. Now let's examine purchasing power, because earning money is meaningless if everything around you is expensive. The average monthly salary in Malaysia after tax is around 5,000 ringgit. In Singapore, it's 12,000 ringgit. But remember, rent alone in Singapore takes 8,500 of those 12,000 ringgit. In Malaysia, rent takes 2,200, leaving you with 2,800 ringgit. In Singapore, you're left with 3,500 ringgit after rent. The gap isn't as massive as the raw salary numbers suggest. In Japan, average monthly salary is about 14,000 ringgit, but rent takes 6,000, leaving 8,000. In Hong Kong, average salary is 13,000 ringgit, rent takes 12,000, leaving you with just 1,000 ringgit. In South Korea, you earn about 11,000 ringgit monthly. Rent costs 4,500, leaving 6,500. In Dubai, average salary is 14,000 ringgit, but rent and utilities consume around 7,000, leaving 7,000. After accounting for cost of living, Malaysia's purchasing power is far more competitive than raw salary comparisons would indicate. Safety is non-negotiable for quality of life. Malaysia ranks as the 27th safest country in Asia according to the Global Peace Index. Singapore ranks first, which makes sense given their strict laws. Japan ranks second. But Malaysia ranks above Thailand, which sits at 31st. Above Indonesia at 34th. Above Philippines at 38th. Above India at 42nd. Above Pakistan at 47th. Developed Asian cities. In Indonesia, the same issue exists outside Jakarta and Bali. Malaysia's multilingual environment removes a massive friction point that expatriates face elsewhere. Infrastructure quality has improved dramatically. The MRT system in Kuala Lumpur now rivals systems in Bangkok and Manila. Highway networks connect the entire peninsula efficiently. Penang Bridge, KLIA Airport, and high-speed rail to Singapore are all world-class. Yes, Tokyo's infrastructure is more advanced. Yes, Singapore's public transport is more extensive. But Malaysia's infrastructure is more than adequate for comfortable modern living, and it comes without the premium prices those cities charge. Digital infrastructure deserves attention. Malaysia ranks 20th in Asia for digital competitiveness. Mobile data in Malaysia costs around 35 ringgit monthly for unlimited usage. In Singapore, comparable plans cost 60 ringgit. In Japan, it's 80 ringgit. In Australia, you're paying 120 ringgit for similar data. Malaysia's digital banking, e-wallet adoption, and online service availability match or exceed most regional competitors. Job market diversity is expanding. Malaysia hosts regional headquarters for major tech companies, financial institutions, and manufacturing operations. Cyberjaya has become a legitimate tech hub. Penang remains a semiconductor manufacturing center. Iskandar Malaysia in Johor continues developing. While Singapore offers more high-paying positions, Malaysia provides opportunities without the brutal competition and cost of living pressure. You can actually save money and build wealth in Malaysia, whereas in Singapore or Hong Kong, high salaries often just cover high costs. Quality of life factors matter beyond just money. Malaysia offers beaches on both peninsular coasts and in Sabah and Sarawak. You have rainforests, highlands, islands, and cities all within a few hours' travel. Weekend getaways don't require expensive flights. Cameron Highlands, Langkawi, Perhentian Islands, and Penang are all accessible and affordable. In Singapore, you need to leave the country for nature. In Hong Kong, space is so limited that outdoor activities are constrained. In Tokyo, a trip to the beach requires significant planning and cost. Work-life balance in Malaysia generally beats the notorious overwork cultures of Japan, South Korea, and China. Malaysian workplace culture, while not perfect, doesn't normalize the 80-hour work weeks common in Seoul or Tokyo. You're not expected to stay at the office until your boss leaves. You're not judged for taking your allocated leave days. Compared to the high-pressure environments in Singapore's finance sector or Hong Kong's corporate world, Malaysia offers breathing room. Startup ecosystem is growing. Government grants, incubator programs, and venture capital are increasingly available. Costs to start and run a business are dramatically lower than Singapore or Hong Kong. Office space in Kuala Lumpur costs 1/10 what comparable space costs in Singapore. Hiring talent is more affordable. Regulatory compliance, while sometimes bureaucratic, is manageable. Malaysia won't offer the same scale of funding as Singapore, but your money goes much further, allowing longer runway and more experimentation. Retirement potential is significant. Many expats from more expensive Asian countries are choosing Malaysia for retirement. Your pension or savings stretch further. Healthcare quality is excellent relative to cost. The MM2H visa provides legal residence. Weather is consistent year-round. You're not isolated from family in other Asian countries given Malaysia's central location. Retirees from Japan, South Korea, and even Singapore are increasingly considering Malaysia as their retirement destination. Tax efficiency matters for wealth building. Malaysia's income tax rates are progressive but reasonable. The highest bracket is 30% on income above 600,000 ringgit annually, but most middle-class workers pay between 8 to 20%. Singapore's taxes are lower for high earners, but remember the cost of living difference. Japan's taxes reach 55% at the highest bracket. South Korea tops out at 45%. When you factor in consumption taxes, property taxes, and cost of living, Malaysia's overall tax burden is competitive. Cultural diversity creates unique advantages. You're exposed to Malay, Chinese, Indian, and indigenous cultures simultaneously. Religious tolerance is constitutionally protected. You can find mosques, temples, churches, and gurdwaras in the same neighborhood. This diversity creates cultural intelligence and adaptability that's valuable in an increasingly connected world. While places like Singapore also offer diversity, Malaysia provides it without the pressure cooker intensity of a tiny city-state. Future growth potential is real. Malaysia's economy is diversifying beyond palm oil and petroleum. Tech sector is expanding. Tourism is recovering. Strategic location between India and China positions Malaysia well for trade. Infrastructure projects continue developing. While Malaysia won't match China's breakneck growth or Singapore's wealth concentration, steady sustainable growth with affordable living is arguably more valuable for most people. So after comparing Malaysia to 30 Asian countries across cost of living, housing, healthcare, education, safety, infrastructure, job opportunities, quality of life, and future potential, here's the bottom line. Malaysia isn't the cheapest country in Asia. That's probably Vietnam, Cambodia, or parts of India. Malaysia isn't the wealthiest. That's Singapore, Japan, or South Korea. But Malaysia offers the best balance of affordability, quality, diversity, opportunity, and livability compared to almost any other Asian country. You get modern infrastructure without Tokyo prices. You get safety without Singapore's costs. You get opportunity without Hong Kong's pressure. You get diversity without sacrificing cohesion. If you found these comparisons valuable, subscribe to this channel. Drop a comment telling me which country comparison surprised you most. Share this video with anyone considering where to live, work, or invest in Asia. Malaysia deserves recognition for what it actually offers, not what stereotypes suggest. The numbers don't lie. When you compare Malaysia honestly against 30 other Asian nations, the results speak for themselves. Malaysia isn't perfect, but it's far better than most people realize.